Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be mounting this used welding bed on this 2019 four-door Ford. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts on whether I think it's worth it to buy a used, especially Line-X'd welding bed and redo it, you know, doing all the things you want to do to it, change it, fix up, whatever, versus getting a brand new one built. For those of you that may be new to the channel, I wanted to let you know about the digital prints on our website, AROSSWELDING.com. In today's video, I'll be using an A-frame that we have digital prints of in case you want to build your very own A-frame, as well as several other digital prints. I also use a little fab table that I'll be cutting on today. We actually sell those fab tables in our store, so just want to let you know in case you were interested or you find any of these things helpful. My A-frame has been a huge asset with my mobile welding career. Most of my career, I was a pipeline welder, but anytime I would come home and need to either change out a bed or lift up my welding machine, this A-frame has come in handy. It saves you from having to buy a piece of equipment right out the gate when just getting started with mobile welding, whatever type of welding that may be, whether it's pipeline or anything else. All right, here's the dealio. We are mounting an old Bob King bed on a 2019 Ford four-door, I believe. I've already lifted it up and down a couple of times. Had to notch out right here for the spare tire. They had a pipe fence cap over it, but it wasn't big enough for this newer Ford. It looks like this bed was originally built for an older Ford, just based off of the body line. Had to cut that out. Oh, and before that, actually, I had to trim these out. So had to trim that out because of the mounting brackets they were hitting there. Also, at this point, I had already cut off all the existing mounting brackets that were on the bed whenever it showed up here at the shop. So where we're at in the process now is we got to move the bed forward a little bit, and I know for sure I got to run a piece of square tubing along the front. So we can put 2 bolts in up there, and I think I'm just going to plan on putting 6 bolts in total. So I'll get it scooched forward a little bit and then square it up. I do a lot of eyeballing when I'm mounting beds. You know, I've talked about that when building pipe fence, a lot of eyeballing. I do the same thing with truck beds. I pick certain things like on the bed to line up with certain things on the frame, but the frames are different on each side depending on the truck too. So I'm all the time eyeballing how much space is between the cab and the side of the truck here, same with over here. And then I'll also make sure the one body line that this old bed style has, I'll make sure it lines up pretty well with the new body line as far as this way. It's not gonna line up this way, but I don't want the line on the bed to go like this and the line on the truck to go like this, or vice versa, you know. I just want to make it look appealing to the eye, essentially. I just want everything to be even. To my knowledge, the little couple of beds that I have mounted, you can't necessarily actually square it. You can, but not like with a square. You square with a tape measure when mounting a bed. You don't necessarily square with like a, you know, framing square. It's literally just making sure everything is as symmetrical as possible from all angles. If that makes sense. All right, now, let's raise this up. Okay, I think I can back this, pick them up just a skosh now. Skosh. Eyeballing, literally eyeball everything from every angle. So I'm looking at the fenders, looks like the bed could go to the passenger side just a little, not much though, because according to this in here, it's real close. All right, after lots of studying, here's the deal. We're gonna put 6 bolts in this thing, 2 up front. We're gonna cut a piece of 2-inch square tubing. Here's the frame of the pick up 2-inch square tubing up here. We're going to bolt it to the frame up front with 2 1/2 by 2-inch bolts up front here, here, and then right behind the rear duals, or right behind the duals, we're going to run a 4 to 5-inch bolt by 5/8 through the frame this way. We're going to weld a piece of 1/2-inch plate to the frame of the bed itself. And it's going to go down, and we're going to have a hole for that 5/8 bolt on each side. And then on the back, we're going to put a piece of 2 by 2/4 angle, drill a hole in it, or blow a hole, one of the two. And then same 2-inch by 1/2 inch by, or I mean 2 1/2 by 2 bolts here and here. Now we go to the part store to get some bolts and then cut some 1/2-inch plate and some 2-inch angle. Got them. Headed back to the house. It's colder. It's colder. All right, last night we got these tabs welded on, this piece of square tubing bolted down. Got these cut out yesterday. Got the bolts in them. Now this morning, I'm pretty sure we're ready. Oh, and I also buffed off, you know, all that, I don't know, you call it surface rust, dust, whatever. Buff that off because that's where the plates are going to weld to. So I got all that buffed off, so I won't have to do that when it's on the truck. I went ahead and buffed back there where we're going to weld, and then up front also. Now I'm ready to back this truck underneath here and get this thing lowered down, and we should be able to rock and roll here. Shop heater, essential. It done got cold overnight here in Oklahoma. Shop heater, and just keep moving. Keep moving, keep moving. All right, we got everything set in place here. We've got our brackets bolted here. I had to jump to a 3" by 3" angle instead of 2". 2" wasn't wide enough, but so we'll weld it back here, weld them plates in the middle, and then weld our 2 fronts, and then we'll pull the bed off and finish it. I've got a couple more things I need to do to it. One of them being a little ice chest rack on top of the bottle rack. Need to punch some holes for a hose reel, and then I'm gonna mount a catch-all box if I got room. I need to check underneath to make sure I got room. Oh, yep. All right, we got all our mounting brackets tacked on, and the bolts taken out, and now it's time to come up with the bed again. Here we go. One of these days we'll have a electric winch, like a bridge crane action. If you're interested in building your own A-frame, check out our website, AROSSWELDING.com, under the shop tab, and then under the digital prints tab. All right, so before we set this thing down on our rolly cart, we're gonna go ahead and weld what we can on these brackets. Trying to be all professional and use my chair, but I ain't got very much room, so I can't use my chair. All right, on to the next one, boys. On to the next one. All right, as you can see, we got the bed up off the truck. Got to do a couple more things to this welding bed. One of them is building this pan for a catch-all. I'm going to put, just like on my truck, right behind that Hoosier pole. So I'm putting the ends on it right now. Got my pneumatic 252 on 17 and maybe 17 and a half and 175 or so to weld up these corners. These nuts and bolts in here ain't no easy task, boys. Ain't no easy task. We got her whooped now, boys. Two more. You bet. Now we just need some wrenches. Get them good and snug, boys. Ladies and gents. There you have it. All right, there you have it. Bed mounted. All right, so my thoughts on whether to buy a used bed or get a brand new custom one built. Is it worth it to buy a used one and do modifications to it? If you're just now starting out, in my opinion, depending on your financial situation, but if you're just now starting out and don't have much capital to work with, I recommend buying used. As long as the bed is solid and you don't mind the way it looks, you just need something to work out of, I recommend buying used and doing your own modifications, again, to save you some money. It won't save you time, but chances are if you're just getting started, you have more time than you do money. So that's the route I would recommend, and most likely that will be the better route for just getting started. Unless you have a full-time job, it may not even be a welding job. But if you have a full-time job, you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week at your full-time job, making decent money, it may be worth it to pay somebody to build you a custom bed, because it's not worth it for you to take off your good paying job to build a custom welding bed. Another thing to consider is what all you want in a welding bed. For example, whenever I built my welding bed, before I decided to build it, I looked for a used welding bed, but I did have some criteria and I could not find one that met my criteria, so I decided to build one. But also considering that whenever buying a used one, if it needs so much modifications to meet your criteria, then it may not be worth it to buy a used one. Ultimately, you gotta weigh your own personal situation, in my opinion. There's actually a lot of different variables that go into this reasoning. I will give the example of this fella, but before I do, I did want to let those of you who are just getting started know that building your own welding bed and or modifying a used one is a great way to get experience. Learn and mess up on your own projects. This way you can do better for customers. Like I said, lots of different variables, and I did not want to leave that one out. this fella gave $6,500 for this used welding bed. He has paid me roughly $5,000 in labor to do several modifications to it. We paid Stillwater Steel just under $2,000 for this bottle rack. So $6,500 for the welding bed, $5,000 in labor, that's $11,500, plus $2,000, $13,500. So just under $14,000. This is what the guys got. A good, solid welding bed. And in my opinion, he came out all right with that price, because as of the recording of this video, this is January of 2024. Over the last couple of years, materials and labor have went up quite a bit. And to get a custom welding bed built, spec'd, and like not a stamped out welding bed, but like a custom welding bed to your specs, you know, a little bit heavier built versus the ones that are stamped out, it's gonna cost you at least $20,000, depending on who you have build it, if not $30,000 or $40,000 for a custom welding bed. So like I said, in my opinion, he has made out quite good. I don't know his personal finances or his overall business plan. That's another thing to consider, is if you're working full-time as a pipeline welder, as a maintenance welder somewhere using your own welding truck, if you're working this thing 40 to 60 hours a week, then any option could be worth it to you. Picking the exact option just depends on your overall business plan and how much money you're delegating towards what in your personal life and in your business life for that matter. You may have way less bills than the next guy, so you may be able to afford a brand new custom built welding bed versus the next guy may have way more bills. He may have toys at home, you know, four-wheelers, boats, motorcycles, whatever. He may not be able to afford to get a custom welding bed built. It all comes down to priorities, right? That's the example of this fella. He came out all right. One thing I did learn doing modifications to this welding bed is the Line-X was not very fun. So if I was to do another one, I would highly consider getting it sandblasted. I'm not sure. The local sandblast place said they weren't sure if the Line-X would even come off that good. So I would actually have to do more research on if sandblasting would be sufficient or not. But other than the Line-X, this bed was fairly solid, no different than any other older welding bed that I've modified or worked on. But I just wanted to mention that about the Line-X in case you are considering buying a used welding bed, be prepared for the Line-X. I hope that helps you decide on what you're gonna do in your personal situation. I know sometimes it helps having an experienced example to kind of give us some food for thought and you know, just some ideas to throw around. So hopefully that helped. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Don't forget to check out our website, AROSSWELDING.com, for digital prints of the A-frame or anything else you may find helpful over there on our website. Thanks again for watching, and remember, learn something every day.